Welcome back to What the Frick podcast. We are joined today by the most beloved guest of the podcast, Miss Drea.
Hello, everyone. I'm back.
For those that don't remember, we've had Drea on twice now.
Yeah,
from
third time.
Multiple part episodes because these usually run a little long and a little controversial. So,
we just like the chit chat.
Yeah, we just like to get into the nitty gritty of life. But to start up the podcast off, a life update is that last time you saw Drea, she was in my old apartment, and then I went to her old apartment, and now we are in
our apartment together,
a combined apartment. So we did move in together, not as lesbian lovers, but
I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
But yes, so we have a 2-bedroom apartment that we now share.
Should we do a vlog of like the apartment?
I know,
should we show the apartment?
I mean, from what you can see here, the kitchen, and then we have Dre's room, my room.
We have a nice living space.
Yeah,
all decorated by yours truly.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the biggest life change so far, I would say. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, other life changes. I have a new job. Have not started yet, but I have a new job. So very excited to start that. I think it's going to be a good opportunity to kind of see what I really want to get into as far as PT world goes. And it's just an opportunity to grow into my career and see what else is out there,
Yeah, and speaking of your new job, you were supposed to start it this past Monday, but, with jobs, they have to do background checks, so you're actually not starting for like 2 weeks, and you've been kind of at home.
Sad.
Not sad, but it's like you're just not used to not working every day, whereas I'm more like used to being at home during the day. So tell them about like what that's been like, I don't know, like the millennial Gen Z culture of working every day. Like people hate it, but you're here and you're like, I want to go back to work.
I will say that like I complain about my job all the time. Not in like a bad way, but I complain like, oh, I think about retirement every single day, and
relatable.
Yeah, I think about it all the time, but at the same time, I think that I enjoy my job enough to where, yes, it is exhausting, but it gives me a sense of like purpose in life and sense of, I don't even know, like there's something to do during the day. Like I know what my routine is. And now that I like have kind of fallen out of routine, I don't want to say it's sad, but I just like don't know what to do throughout the day. I don't know how stay-at-home parents do it or stay-at-home like people do it. But props to you, because I like need to get out of the house.
Yeah, you learned that you're not cut out to be a housewife, trophy wife.
No, I wish I was cut out to be a housewife, trophy wife, but I can't. I have to like have a consistent like thing that I do every day, even if it's like a couple hours. I would be okay with working like 3 days a week and having some like days off where I can do like go to the dentist or like the things that you have to do that it's really hard to do when you have a full-time job. But I don't think I can be full-time at home. That's gonna be really hard when kids come along, but that's not for a while.
No, I mean it is hard, and like my job's very weird right now. Like I'm in the off season, and like I don't really work that much either, but I have to like have a plan every day of like, okay, I'm gonna go do this class, or like I'm lucky that my parents live close by, so just going to their house for a few hours feels like an activity, even though it's not an activity.
You just go do exactly the same thing at your parents' house that you would do here. So
it's a new environment, so it feels like I left the apartment.
I feel like we haven't really seen each other a whole lot because we have the complete opposite schedules.
Yeah.
So now we've actually like gotten to hang out and like sit and do nothing together.
Yeah, and then usually I wake up and you're gone.
Yeah.
And when you come home, I'm at work till 10 p.m.
And I'm in bed by then.
So Usually see Drea every 3 days, but
I know. I'm like, she calls me her stray cat because she'll see me every once in a while. And I'm like, hi, how's it going?
Well, transitioning into our normal topics of conversation with men and dating. Last time we saw you, Drea, you were, I guess, I don't seriously dating someone. And I know that recently ended. Mm-hmm. So do you want to just give everyone a brief little rundown, whatever you choose or choose not to say, of what happened in that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, we were seriously dating for a while, and it just wasn't clicking. We tried again, we broke up, we tried again, and I just don't think we're in the same place in life, and that's okay. That's totally fine. And when we finally, broke up the last time, I definitely distracted myself with a lot of traveling, and I was gone like every 2 weeks pretty much. I was in Europe with my family. I went to Seattle to visit my friends. I went to a wedding. And yeah, I more recently have started to kind of process everything that's been going on. And I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, I still have a lot of love for him, and I know deep down he's a really good person. Like, I know that he's a great person. It's just, as far as what we want in life right now, it's not the same. And it caused a lot of friction that turned into anxiety, that turned into fighting and arguing, and just, not being on the same page. So yeah, that ended in like July, but here I'm, ready to, like, I don't know, see what else is out there. I'm not really pressuring myself to get in anything anytime soon. I'm kind of just trying to look at the positive things and look at the positive side of, like, being single, where you get to do whatever you want, and you kind of like get to experience things for yourself. And if anyone comes along, then that's great.
And not to mention that he also was a coworker, so you were seeing him every single day. And now that you're starting your new job, you won't be having that anymore. And people say it's harder to move on at a normal pace when you're still seeing somebody, even if you're not like talking to them the same way. So that will probably also be very beneficial.
For sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think like not seeing each other every day has its benefits for, moving forward, and for learning how to be, self-sufficient by yourself. But yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. I'm sure he's doing great. He started a new job too, so.
Yeah. Interesting question, but do you think you would ever date a coworker again?
No.
After that situation?
No. I think he and I both learned our lesson. Well, I wouldn't say learned our lesson because, I didn't go into it being like, oh my God. I was very hesitant in the very beginning, and I had mentioned that to him when we first started like talking. Like,
that's one of the first things I said was that's like,
I mean,
scary.
there was a lot of people that had mentioned like that is a very, scary thing, especially because you're in a professional setting, and I don't want to sacrifice my, job for someone else. I think it was a one and done thing. But yeah, I will never do that ever again.
And I was just gonna like say, like, I don't know how people really meet people in this day and age, and like, what's your opinion on it? 'Cause it's like you really only meet people either through a dating app or through mutual friends or through whatever your work is. And it's like, if you're in an office environment, like, are you gonna risk, if someone you break up, like, you to see them every day? Or is it like, oh, but then I might really like this person? Like, my parents met because they worked together, and I was like, that's weird. And I'm like, well, I guess I wouldn't be here. But it all obviously worked out, and a lot of people meet like that. So it's like, where do you say, like, or like draw the line? But it's hard.
It's hard. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but I definitely, if that were to ever come about, I would be a little bit more cautious about it. I think the intention behind it was there. I think that we were just on different pages, and I think that I am doing a lot of self-growth and a lot of like maturing of what I want and what I will and won't like respect about myself and others. And if that were ever to happen again, I would just be very cautious. But people do meet at work, but I think it's getting less and less like that because of the fact that we have dating apps. Like before, like our parents, even like people that may even be like older millennials, I think that that was like just like the way that people met. And now we have so many more options that it's a lot easier to just be like, okay, well, we'll just go on a dating app. But as far as meeting people, I mean, yeah, I've actually, surprisingly, all the people that I've dated have been through like in real life. Like I've never dated someone that was over a dating app before, other than maybe one.
Right.
That was like through Instagram, so I don't know if that technically counts.
Yeah, it's weird to think that dating apps didn't used to be a thing, and obviously people have been finding partners for years, and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can't imagine meeting someone in a normal circumstance that's not through a dating app. But I've also never had a successful relationship come out of a dating app. So I don't know how we're supposed to do it.
I mean, like, we were just talking about how we literally were supposed to go on dates and we ended up getting, I want to say ghosted, but kind of.
It's weird to say ghosted when you've never met the person.
Yeah, you've never met them in person. Yeah. So like just like completely the radar is gone. Like there's no sense of communication, which is fine. Like I said, I'm not in a position right now where I'm like super butthurt about it, but I'm like, dang, I wanted some coffee this morning.
I just think it's weird that guys will go through the steps to make a plan and like a place and a time and a date, and then it's like comes down to the wire of, okay, like see you then, or like, are we still good for this time? And then you either hear nothing, or I'll check the app and I'm unmatched, and I'm like, why did you, like, in my head I'm like, they got really scared, their girlfriend texted them, like their ex texted them. I'm like, I just don't understand why they're putting in the effort. They're not gonna follow through.
I mean, I'm like, I think about that too, and then I also think about the fact that someone who truly wants to get to know me and like wants to make plans and go through it will do it. I mean, we've both been on dates this week, and like they've gone through the date, you know what I mean? Like, even if I wouldn't say they were amazing, but there are people out there that are gonna like follow through. At this point, I'm not getting butthurt about it. I'm not getting like sad about it, because it's like, you're just a guy that I don't know.
Right.
So
yeah, it helps
I might even
honestly
like delete the number and everything at this point. I'm like, I'm not saving. Oh yeah, remember my thing? We don't save numbers in our phones until
it gets very confusing.
It gets very. I know. Yeah, it does get very confusing. I'm like, okay, which one are you?
Yeah, I'll have to read through the messages and be like, okay.
No, but this is what I'm saying is that if the whole thing, like if they wanted to, they would. Like, for example, I just said about the whole, I was supposed to go on a date this morning, whatever. And then I have someone else he like asked me what my plans were and like wants to make plans. And Sunday's a little iffy for me because I have to work. I picked up a shift, and then like also I have yoga and just like other things going on. And he's like, oh, like, like I'll work around your schedule. Like I'll leave that day open for you. Whoa. And like saying like, he's like, oh, where do you want to go? Like get food. I'm like, well, let's meet in the middle. He's like, no, I'll come to you. Like I want to make this as easy as possible for you. And I'm like, see, like that's the thing that I'm saying. Like if they really want to get to know you, they will, and they will like make effort for it. So
that's very nice to hear.
I know, right?
But is it also in a weird, toxic way a turnoff that they're willing to like
Oh God.
come
Yes.
and like
Yeah,
change
yeah.
their entire day in life?
Yeah.
Like part of me is like, that's so nice, and part of me is like, well, what's wrong with you that you're like
Should we go to
borderline desperate?
No, I don't think, honestly, after
It's a weird line
it's
again.
it's a weird line, but after going to therapy, and then also experiencing what I experienced with previous relationships, I think it's honestly really nice.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna change my mindset.
yeah, we need to, you know what? You just need to go to my therapist and we'll talk about it. We'll have a group therapy session.
Yeah, I love therapy. I miss it.
Yeah, it's great. That was the one thing that we did talk about, because I mentioned to her like how I'm scared to fall into like this toxic cycle of people like treating me a certain way and getting kind of like turned off by people who are nice to me for no apparent reason. They're just nice. And that's something I've been working on a lot. So trying to like see the better side of things, of like, okay, they really want to like talk to you and hang out with you and get to know you, like they're going to work their schedule around you.
Yeah, I battle between nice people and then like I just feel like there's no chemistry.
Yeah, but
And I worry about that.
but there are people out there that you'll have both with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because your previous relationship, you had both. You had, you know,
Rarity.
rare. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's rare, but like if it wasn't rare, then you would be dating like a million people.
Right.
So you have to just think of it in that way too.
Well, it's hard. And then I have some friends who are like, you need to give them another chance. You need to keep trying. And I'm like, but I literally don't picture myself wanting to kiss them.
Yeah.
To make out with them. Like I can sit across the room from them and talk to them for 3 hours. Like, yeah, that's fine. But I have no inclination of wanting to do any of those things.
Exactly. Which brings up the next topic of conversation is
Yes.
what are things that make you want to jump on top of a man?
Great question.
Am I the host of this podcast now?
Maybe. It's nice to have someone else host.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe one day
Yeah.
I'll be a co-host.
I don't really know. I think it's, for me, a lot of it's like a vibe
Yeah.
and a connection. And like a lot of it's just the way someone talks to me too. Like I like banter. I like when people can like kind of be like sarcastic with me and like make fun of me in a way that's not like demeaning.
Yeah,
But
like
I
you're
really
a piece
like
of shit.
I really like that. And then yeah, like it's just like the way you talk with each other. If it's all just like an interview style of like, oh, I went to school here and I did this, I'm like, okay. And then yeah, I don't know.
I agree. I think it's a banter type of thing. Which is sad because not everyone has that type of, you know, interaction. I think that the best thing, like I'm a personality person, like obviously I need to be attracted to you. Like if I'm not attracted to you, doesn't matter what you say to me, we're just gonna kiki and you're gonna be my friend. That's about it. But for me it's the same thing. Like it's a vibe. I just remember like all the people that I've gone on dates with where I'm like, wow, this is like a really good date, or like, wow, this was a really good connection. It's been like so effortless, and like I feel like I've known you for so long, and I feel like that's how it should be. Like I don't want to say like some of the one date that I've gone on recently. I just like it wasn't a vibe. Like I could see us being friends, but like there was no questions asked about me. I feel like we didn't have a whole lot in common.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like I was talking most of the time and I was like cracking all the jokes and stuff like that, and he seemed to have a good time, but like that's because I'm super cool. So like
yeah, that's how it goes.
What about like physical stuff? Like are there any physical things that you like make you want to just like, damn.
I like a tall king. I know you don't mind the short kings. I prefer a tall king, but I'm trying to get over that. We need to
broaden your horizons a little bit. 5'10". I'm just telling you, 5'10" and above.
I mean, I like a guy. I'm not big on facial hair. I don't mind it on some guys. I hate the mustache. It's an automatic, you're a pedophile look for me.
Okay.
Like Travis Kelce pulled it off for a hot minute because he's Travis Kelce, but other than that, I can't deal with that. I'm big on hairlines. Men that don't have hair. It's one thing if you have like a buzz cut, like that can be hot, but like guys where it's like
obvious.
Yeah, or every photo they have is with a hat on. I'm like,
I want to see
what
what's
you
under
look
the,
like.
Are you hat fishing me?
Yeah, because that's the thing. But nothing like crazy. I mean, it's funny because I have dated a lot of guys that are like very thin and like more like lean and thin, less like muscle tone. But now I feel like I'm more attracted to like guys that really go to the gym and like really like have more of like a build. So but I'm trying to be less weird about my physical attributions and more focus on like the banter and that connection. But it's not going well. I mean, I haven't found anyone in like over a year and a half.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would agree with all that. I think as of recently, I was literally just talking to one of my other friends who's single, and the biggest thing for me is it's not only the banter, because like I can banter with a lot of my friends, but I think a big thing for me is the intellect part of it. Like, I don't want to feel like I am smarter than you. I know that sounds really conceited, but like I went through school. I have a pretty significant degree. Like, I want to be able to have like an intellectual conversation, not only about like, I don't know, like stuff that I do on a daily basis, but I also want to have like conversations about like life and like, I don't know. I guess one thing that I'm trying to describe is like me and my ex would talk about like maybe like spirituality, and like one of the things I remember about him the most is that like our third like time hanging out, he brought me a book. And I know that sounds really fucking weird, but he brought me like his favorite book, and he's like, I want you to read this. And I want something that's kind of like that, where I'm being like, I don't know what the word is. I'm being influenced in the best way. I know that's more like down the line, but I feel like you can tell if someone is going to influence you in a good way or a bad way. Like, I want to be able to go out with you like every once in a while, but I also am at that point, I'm like 28 now, that I don't want to go out every weekend. Like, I'll go out once every other week. But I'm getting to that point where I'm like, it's not fun for me anymore to go to the bars and see the same people and get drunk and then be hungover the next day. Like, it's not fun for me. So I don't know, just like having the best of both worlds on top of the banter, on top of the intellect is more, I guess that's harder to find in my opinion than just like banter. Because I can do that with you.
Right.
We can just banter. I can just have Shayna be my boyfriend.
It's funny you talk about like conversations, because something I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my ex from college used to get mad at me because we'd be having conversations and I would just like not respond sometimes, but like not it, and it sounds weird when I say it, but like I'm someone that doesn't need to be like constantly talking to like my partner. Like, I'm someone that like can sit in silence and like everything should be fine. And he was more of like, I need to be talking constantly. And like we were in Europe together, and he would be like looking at all these things and like having like a 20-minute conversation with himself, but like I was there and like listening. And when he was done, I'd just be like, yeah, that's really cool that you like think that, like something about like a church or something we saw. And he'd be like, you have nothing to say, like you don't have any thoughts. I'm like, I mean, you just talked for like 20 minutes about it. I'm pretty sure you just said everything I could have thought of. But he would like literally get mad at me and say that like I didn't know how to talk to him. I should be able to talk to him for like 12 hours straight about literally like the most random topics in the world. And I started to get really anxious because I was like, we'd be having conversations and I'd be like, what am I going to say next? Like, what am I going to say that's going to like impress him enough to not get mad at me? Yeah. And I've just learned that I'm someone that doesn't need that constantly. Yeah. And he was someone that did. And I was like, this isn't going to work in the long run because I am not going to be able to give you what I need. Like, I'm more like quality over quantity. Like, I'd rather have a meaningful conversation than just talk for like hours about like nothing.
Random stuff.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think my ex was like that too. There were many times. I think he was more of the type where like you, like he don't have to talk all the time. Like I would remember like, for example, eating lunch with him and he wouldn't say anything. And I'm like, are you good? Like, are we okay? Are you mad at me? But I think that's more out of my own anxiety because I mean, like there are plenty of times where I can literally sit with my friend and not say a single word and like, it doesn't bother me. So I think it just, there are levels to it, but I'm more of a talkative person and like, I mean, I remember when I first met you, you didn't say anything. And so that's when I thought you hated me. I get nervous. So I literally like projectile vomited words all over Shayna and just talked the entire time. But I think it just depends on your personality. You're more of an introverted person. Mm-hmm. I'm an introverted, extroverted person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then I just thought about like going back to like chemistry and connection, like what makes you want to like make out with someone. Like last year I met this guy and he was really nice and we actually like everything checked, like physical, banter, all of that. And then we like kissed and I literally felt nothing. Like making out with water. It's the best way I can put it. So I'm like, is it just like a physical, hormonal, like pheromones type of thing?
Yeah, I think yes, for sure, because I think part of it's like pheromones, like chemically, like you guys are more in sync. I don't know, because I've been the same way. Like I for sure have kissed people after my ex and I'm just like, I don't really care about this. Like this doesn't turn me on. Yeah. And then like I think about like other people I've been with where it's been one kiss and I'm like, holy shit, like this is amazing. I don't know where you came out of the woods somewhere, or you like were friends with them and you kiss them and you're like, oh wow, you've been hiding this the entire time. Right. But I think it has to be a mixture. I don't think it's a one. Yeah. You have to try. You have to kiss a lot of frogs, Shayna.
I know. And then they say that like you shouldn't just let a physical response like lead you, because then that will eventually die out. So you have to have both. And I'm like, I literally can't start a relationship if I kiss someone and I feel nothing.
No, I think that if you have like not only like the things that you want, like banter, sexual chemistry, whatever, I think that will translate into a better relationship than just one or the other. I know that like when you get older, like people say that, you know, your sex drive goes down, but I feel like if you're with the right person, you should never not be sexually attracted to them, even through different stages of life. I don't think that ever dies down. The thing is that people tend to marry the wrong person, and then that's when things get confused and intermixed. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day. I'm like, I've gone on so many dates since that last guy, and not a single one has like impressed me in any way.
That's okay.
So
maybe right now is just not the time. You have to trust the process.
I'm like, when's the time? It's been like a year and a half.
I mean, it's been like what? Only a couple months for me, but even prior to that, I was with someone that was cool too. But even though I've been in 2 relationships since we first did our first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That doesn't matter. I'm still, at the end of the day, here I am.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it matters.
That's true. But you've learned from all of
that. Oh, yeah. I've learned in my 27th year, I learned so much about like myself and just like what I want in life, what I want in a partner, what I expect for myself too. My therapist thinks I've gone through a lot of growth, which I appreciate her saying. Yeah. I literally, when she told me that on Monday, I started crying. She's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I just like the appreciation that I've gone through growth.
That's cute.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to actually end this episode here because as per usual, we just talked for too long and wanted to give you guys another 2-part episode featuring Drea. So come back next week for part 2 with Drea. We'll be discussing some more of our, I'd say like funnier topics. So looking forward to that, and I will see you guys next week.